Hey guys, Britt here. Welcome to End Times Bible Prophecy. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like, and share buttons. Well, today we're going to talk about a couple of news stories that I think really indicate the times in which we live. And I want to expand on one of the questions that's posed in one of these articles because I think that it's a question that is relevant to every person on Earth's life, not just here today, but everyone who has ever lived. So let's take a look. The first of these articles, it's right here on Hedge, and it's by Eric Peters, CIO of One River Asset Management, and it says, imagine a technological breakthrough that will give its inventor power over humanity. Can such a breakthrough be used for good? And so what he did was he asked GPT-4, which is the latest iteration of OpenAI's ChatGPT, this question. He said, imagine a technological breakthrough that will give its inventor power over humanity and can be used for both extreme evil and good. And then he says, the Bletchley Declaration, a pledge of international cooperation and the quest to regulate frontier artificial intelligence, had just been signed by 28 nations, including the United States, China, Japan, the EU, UK, India, Brazil, Canada, Australia, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. And so he continues asking this question of GPT-4. He says, assume many players are investing massively to be the first to make the breakthrough. Guys, we've talked about this. This has been an ongoing race for a number of years now. It's really accelerated recently. So he says, will it be possible to coordinate their behaviors so that the breakthrough is used for good and spread across humanity in a way that is fair to all? And how can this be possible when the risk of losing this competition are potentially existential while the rewards are so great? And I want to stop right there because remember, we've talked in the past about back in 2017, so we're looking at a little over 7 years ago, I believe it was September 2017, Vladimir Putin was talking to some graduating students at a university about the subject of artificial intelligence, and he said the nation that achieves this breakthrough will be ruler of the world. So no doubt the world leaders understand what's at stake, just as he says right here. The rewards are great. Hey, you can rule the world. And the risk of losing are potentially existential because, well, if you're one of the losers in that competition, that means you are now being ruled by the one who won. So this goes on. He gets a response, and it says, achieving coordination among competing players for the common good, especially when the stakes are incredibly high, is indeed a challenging endeavor. However, with the right combination of diplomacy, strategic planning, and incentives, it might be possible. Here's a strategy to navigate such a situation. He says, it then gave me a sensible 10-point plan that humanity has used to address nuclear proliferation. I asked if there are other examples. It highlighted the Human Genome Project, ozone layer depletion, climate change via the Paris Agreement, and global health emergencies via the WHO, which I think must have been a joke. And this suggests that in all of human history, there is just one example, which was our unsuccessful effort to prevent a nuclear arms race, which is surely the direction artificial generalized intelligence sprint is headed, and GPT-4 reluctantly agreed. No doubt about it, guys. This is where we're headed. We're in the arms race now. And once that breakthrough is achieved by a nation or a group of nations coordinating together, it will be used to conquer the world. Now, I believe the critical technology among these is going to be molecular manufacturing. That's what's going to enable that. But that will be powered by artificial intelligence and quantum computing. So we're going to see these technologies develop in tandem, but I think it's interesting to note that they're pointing to this arms race and thinking, well, this is how we'll do this. But we've noted before, there is no post-breakthrough arms race that can take place that wouldn't destroy the world. Nuclear technology developed over the course of several decades, following the United States achieving a breakthrough and then the Soviet Union and these other nations. And it was really a relatively slowly developing process in regard to that technology. And it could be controlled. You had a good idea of what your adversaries were up to. You had the doctrine of mutual assured destruction. All of those things go out the window when you're talking about technologies that advance exponentially, and the next 24 hours could bring breakthroughs that you haven't even conceived of yet. When we get to that point, well, there's no sitting back and allowing your competitor to possibly gain an advantage on you. And things become much more unstable. Nations become more distrustful. It increases the odds of a preemptive strike and a catastrophic war. So no doubt about it, mark my words, whoever achieves this, whether their intentions are good or bad, they will use it to conquer the world and prevent other powers from emerging. So, when we think about, well, what does this have to do with end times and Bible prophecy? Well, clearly, Revelation chapter 13 tells us there will come a time when there is a global government ruled by the Antichrist. You will have one man essentially ruling the entire earth. Just as Vladimir Putin said, the leader in this race will be ruler of the world. And we look at, well, what is this world going to look like? Because a lot of these things we read about, they tend to paint this dystopian picture, and that very well could be the case. We live in a world right now where we're seeing rampant inflation, we're seeing war, rumors of wars, all sorts of terrible things happening. So in the aftermath of a conquered world, what would we expect to see? Well, believe it or not, most likely what's on the other side of that is abundance, opulent abundance, the likes of which the world has never seen. That sounds strange, but that leads us into this next story, commenting about some of the same summit that was just mentioned here. This is from Cointelegraph. It says, UK AI Safety Summit. Musk likens AI to a magic genie and says no jobs are needed in the future. It says the United Kingdom's Global Summit on Artificial Intelligence Safety, the AI Safety Summit, concluded on November 2nd with a one-on-one chat between UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and billionaire Elon Musk. Musk was one of many big names to attend the summit, including the heads of OpenAI, Meta, Google, and its AI division DeepMind, along with leaders from 27 countries. Musk's nearly hour-long chat with Sunak was one of the main events of the second day. And they have a link to this. I'll try to remember to link this in the comments so you can go watch this if you so desire. But it says their conversation touched on everything from AI risk to China and opened with Elon Musk likening the emerging technology to a magic genie. He says it's somewhat of the magic genie problem, where if you have a magic genie that can grant all the wishes, usually those stories don't end well. Be careful what you wish for. And guys, that's exactly where the world is heading. When we talk about molecular manufacturing and nanofactories, I encourage you to go explore these topics for yourself. We're talking about a world of material abundance and opulence, the likes of which we've never seen before. A raised standard of living for everyone, where you would have abundant energy coming from the sun. Solar technology would be much more efficient, orders of magnitude more efficient than what we see today. and that would power a global economy where everyone's basic needs would be met. So we have the potential of seeing that on the other side of this. Now, whether we do or not remains to be seen. I think there's indications that we will, but let's see what else they say. It says both mention these intelligent bots needing a physical off switch and drew parallels to science fiction movies like The Terminator. All these movies end with the same plot. Fundamentally all end with the person turning it off, Sunak said. And here we go again with this Terminator comparison, where, in The Terminator, this artificial intelligence, Skynet, decides that it's going to take over and turn on the humans, and the machines turn on the humans, and there's a war with the machines trying to annihilate the humans. And of course, people today still have this fear that that's going to happen. I can assure you that will not happen. We've talked in the past about the arrogance of humanity would never allow that to happen. They'd simply merge with the artificial intelligence, merge with the machines, rather than try to oppose the machines. But again, here we have this idea of an off switch as well. Oh, well, if this gets out of control, we need an off switch. Guys, there is no off switch. As they said in the last article, the stakes are enormously high. Ruler of the world or one of the losers who is ruled. So everybody isn't going to decide for the good of humanity to turn the off switch off, right? To flip that off switch. Some really stupid country might, right? And then become one of the ruled. But there are going to be people who continue to pursue this regardless of what the international outcry is or what people at policy think tanks believe. Artificial intelligence will be pursued. All of these other technologies will be pursued. There's no off switch. We're on this trend, and there's no hopping off this train. It's left the station. Okay, so it's coming. There's no off switch to all of this. So I don't know why that keeps getting brought up, but again, it keeps being brought up along with this idea of the Terminator and that we have to fear the machines. Guys, we shouldn't fear anyone as Christians, but maybe that we should say the concern is with AI. The concern should not be with AI. The concern should be of human beings, fallen human beings, wielding AI, particularly governments using AI to violate the individual rights of citizens. That should be the concern, yet we hardly hear anything about that, right? It's all about this abstract idea that AI is going to turn on humanity. And again, we've talked endlessly about why that's not going to happen. But it goes on, it says, Musk commented, it's both good and bad. One of the challenges in the future will be, how do we find meaning in life if you have a magic genie that can do everything you want? And I want to return to this question in just a moment because it presupposes that meaning in life is derived from the pursuit of everything you want. Now, I don't think that's the case. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but let's keep reading on. So this says, Musk commented on China's inclusion in the summit, saying their presence was essential. If they're not participants, it's pointless, he said. The United States and the UK and China are aligned on safety, then that's going to be a good thing because that's where the leadership is generally. Over the past year, the US and China have gone head-to-head in the race to develop and deploy the most advanced AI systems. When Sunak asked Musk what he believes governments should be doing to mitigate risk, he responded, I generally think that it's good for the government to play a role when public safety is at risk. For the vast majority of software, public safety is not a risk. But when we talk about digital superintelligence, which does pose a risk to the public, then there's a role for the government to play to safeguard the public. He said, while there are people in Silicon Valley who believe it will crush innovation and slow it down, Musk assured that regulations will be annoying, but having what he called a referee will be a good thing. Government, to be a referee to make sure there is sportsmanlike conduct and public safety, are addressed because at times I think there's too much optimism about technology. And guys, government is not the solution. Government is the problem. They're assuming that the lawmakers have any idea what the technology is that they're dealing with and therefore how to regulate it. But guys, the concern for safety should come from how the government will use these technologies to abuse the rights of citizens. That's where the concern should be, is how are governments going to use their police power incorporating these technologies to run roughshod over the lives of citizens. So government is not the solution here. Again, I don't understand. These are ideas that should be relatively easy to figure out where the issues lie. So this just indicates we're heading full throttle toward a big mess, and we're heading full throttle toward global government and the rise of the Antichrist. So I want to return real quickly to this question up here. So let's cut right back up to this question that Elon Musk had up here, where he said it's both good and bad. One of the challenges in the future will be, how do we find meaning in life if you have a magic genie that can do everything you want? Now, as I said before, that sort of presupposes that your meaning in life derives from either the pursuit or the achievement of what you seek, what you want. It's very centered on the individual. And again, if your life meaning goes away because you achieve something or get something, and that's an indication that you are building a life on shifting sand and not on solid, immovable rock. And I know this is probably something that maybe some people watching this are facing out there right now, or maybe somebody that you know is facing. And so I want to draw your attention to this right here, this book, Coming to Jesus. This is the story of how I came to know Jesus because I was searching for truth and life purpose. What's the meaning of life? And when I did that, I found the answers. And so I want to share those with you. I'm not selling this book. It's free. It's free on Amazon. It's free on Google Play and Apple iBooks, Barnes & Noble Nook. Anywhere you can find an ebook, you can download this for free. And that's been the case for years now. And I want to take a look at just reading some of this because I think that it may help put some perspective on life in general and what the purpose of life is, what our meaning in life is, how you can find fulfillment outside of this material world. And so let's read this, and hopefully this can help you or somebody that you know. So it says, what's the purpose of life? Let's start with the purpose of life. What is it? Is it to indulge in fleeting pleasures? To accumulate stuff? This drives at the heart of what Elon Musk is saying here. The world would have us believe it is. Have you ever heard the slogan, "He who dies with the most toys wins"? I've known quite a few people over the years who think that statement is true. That's the world's slogan, and it's a philosophy that leads to destruction. You'll never find your true purpose or have lasting peace in your life making the pursuit of wealth or pleasure your God. So let's think about that for a moment and look at what he just said. How do we find meaning in life if we have a magic genie that can do everything you want or acquire everything you want? Right? Meaning, in Elon Musk's mind, meaning in life comes from trying to get that. The pursuit of wealth or pleasure. That's his God. So if he achieves all of that, well, what's the meaning of life? And so hopefully this will help put things into perspective. It says, think of the kings of past centuries who lived lives of opulent luxury. Those same lives would be considered poverty compared to the life you live today. Yeah, you and me, guys, not Bill Gates, not Warren Buffett, you and me. Even though we may not consider ourselves wealthy, you probably have a life of luxury that would make past world rulers green with envy. It says, for instance, you're probably reading this book on a mobile e-reader device, a virtual library in the palm of your hand, or, hearing it narrated on an app, on a video, maybe held in the palm of your hand, maybe on a giant screen in your living room. Who knows? It says the elite and wealthy of past centuries could only dream of such a thing. They yearned for what you have, an iPod that puts a symphony in your ear, music and entertainment on demand, accelerated travel, smartphones, temperature-controlled pools, hot and cold running water, life-saving medicine, surgical procedures, abundant food, water on demand, and thousands of food choices with different spices and varieties of flavors. The list goes on and on. We could fill an entire book with a list of items you have that the kings and queens of the past desired. They thought they would have peace and satisfaction if they acquired those things. But you have them. I have them. And guess what? Still want more, don't you? In fact, you probably repeatedly tell yourself, I'll be much happier when I get that job, promotion, house, car, inheritance, or whatever. I'll be much happier when I'm married, I have a baby, I move to that beautiful city. Yet no matter what you achieve or acquire, it's never enough. And if you haven't figured it out by now, it never will be. Yes, more stuff will make you happy, so you think, and sometimes you enjoy the illusion of happiness for a short time, but it's nothing more than that, a passing illusion. You will only find the lasting peace and contentment you're looking for in one place, and that's Jesus Christ. Everything else is as meaningless as chasing the wind. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 14. Unfortunately, too many people never figure this out. They live an entire lifetime devoid of real purpose and meaning, just going through the motions of life. They follow a path that appears to be right, but in the end, it only leads to death and destruction. Proverbs 14:12. So how do you find purpose in life? King Solomon, one of the wisest men who ever lived, asked himself the same question. His conclusion? The purpose of life is to fear God and obey his commands, for the judgment is coming. That's in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. And what did Solomon mean when he said this? He meant that all the pleasures and achievements of this world are fleeting and meaningless. All that matters is your relationship with God in the coming judgment. All else pales in comparison. So if you want purpose and peace in your life, you need to put aside your own selfish desires and ambitions. Luke 9:23. You need to reconcile with God and seek his purpose for your life. Guys, the only thing that matters, we can talk about these headlines, we can talk about all these big philosophical questions, we can talk about where the world is going or what's happened this week. All that matters is your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's all that matters. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. He is the only means of our salvation. He is the only answer. So we were all born sinners. That means we fell short of God's mark of perfection. And the Bible says the wages of sin is death, which means eternal separation from a holy God. But Jesus came down to earth, God in the flesh, and he lived a sinless, perfect life, and then he died on the cross. He gave up his body, he spilled his blood as a sacrifice for you and me so that we could be reconciled with God, have our sins forgiven, and be reunited with God and have eternity in heaven. Guys, that's the good news. That's what we talk about when we talk about the good news. Here's what Jesus would say about a life of meaning. So this is from John chapter 4, verses 10 through 14, where Jesus is talking to the woman at the well. And he says, if you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me, and I would give you living water. But sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket, she said, and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? Jesus replied, anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again, but those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life. Guys, I hope you know the gift that God has for you and that you know Jesus Christ, because that's where your meaning in life should come from, is Jesus. Jesus is the rock you can build your life upon, and no storm will knock you down if you do that. But everything else is shifting sand. And when the storm comes, and guys, there are storms in this world lined up one after another that are coming, and we're going to see a lot of people who have built their lives on shifting sand, and their lives are going to be turned upside down, and they aren't going to know what to do. And so as long as we're here, we need to be pointing to Jesus Christ and letting people know that good news and say, build your life upon the rock that is Jesus. We need to be compassionate and pointing people to Jesus. But guys, all of these things that are happening, the rise of artificial intelligence, all of these new technologies that are going to lead to a global government and lead to the fulfillment of the prophecies in the Bible about the end times, all of this just tells us the times in which we're living and how close we are to the tribulation period, to the second coming of Jesus. At the end of that tribulation period, we should be taking advantage of every day we have left. I don't know how long that is, but we should be taking advantage of every day to tell other people, to tell a lost and dying world about the hope that we have in Jesus Christ. So guys, let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. Make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And God willing, I will see you on Friday. Bye. If you want to learn more about the end times and Bible prophecy, make sure to sign up for my free monthly newsletter and get your copy of my free ebook, 7 Signs of the End Times. Just follow the link in the description to get your free book. Also, make sure to check out all of my books. Just look up Britt on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iBooks, Google Books, Kobo, or anywhere books are sold. Thanks for watching today, and until next time, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith.